the Vols win, you win. What a night on Rocky Top. What a night in the Steel City, whatever that means.
Yeah.
Did you see the Bengals? Their screenshot. I'm going to find it out. All right. That joke will make sense later. You just keep up. Okay. All right. Golly, dude. And again, I just try to be a fan, and I look at this game, and I don't know how anyone could be upset, especially when you watch games like Alabama and Texas, where, man, it's just a slugfest. Alabama didn't play their best game kind of deal, but they get the win on a tough road game. Same deal for Tennessee, man. It wasn't a perfect game, but you did what you needed to do. Your defense came up big. And you get a top 25 road win, a massive win over reigning ACC champion. Don't tell me about injuries. That's not the deal. That's just not what happened. Tennessee, my favorite thing is just how we looked at the line of scrimmage, mostly defensively. There was some stuff offensively. But even then, in the big moments, when they needed it, Tennessee did well at the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, they found a way. And when you're talking about rebuilding a program, you're talking about building from one year to the next. And Tennessee last year just couldn't find a way to win those close games. And even though they tried to maybe give it away at the end, this team fought and found a way at the end to win a ball game on the road against a top 25 opponent. And here we are sitting at 2-0. We're a top 15 team.
Keep going. Give it to me.
God, I'm going to be unbearable. I am. It feels good.
Unbearable is the right word. Yes.
It feels good. Tennessee is at the end of the basketball season, we were ranked 15th in the country. In a baseball season, we were ranked 9th. And then, right now our football program's a top 15 team. So
it's great to be a Tennessee Vol.
Fulmer was right. Decade of the Vols. We just needed Danny White to do it, I guess. He didn't say he had to be involved for it to be the decade of the Vols, but
that's a good point. That's a good point. And man, Chris, what's up, dude? Good to have you in.
No, I guess Jeremy Pruitt said that, right?
Yeah, that's why I winced at it. Yeah,
Jeremy Pruitt said that.
Jeremy.
Fulmer had a similar kind of, what do you say?
The Vols you said balls are back. Yeah, how we kick off. Yeah. Great, regardless who said it. Phenomenal soundbite. And you talked about just trying to rebuild a program, and we mentioned it. We clipped it. It was sent out. How you said just this game sets you up. If you want to go 9-3, you got to win this game, kind of deal. And in the same kind of take, I think winning a game like this gives you more confidence, and it gives you the ability to win some of those tighter games. Florida, listen, no matter how good you play, it's going to be a tight game. Kentucky, probably going to be a tight game no matter how good you play. South Carolina didn't play great, and it didn't go to the wire, but, they took Arkansas. They gave them a little bit. It wasn't just a Arkansas show up and win kind of deal. So you have a lot of these 50-50 games. I'm leaving some off, LSU. You have a lot of these that if you don't win the early one, the later ones are going to be much more difficult to come by. Get that confidence. Learn to grind out a win. You did it on the road, which is even better. I don't know how you could ask for any more from this team than what they did on Saturday.
And you didn't even play well. Looking back on it, I'm like, you muffed a punt. You had a punt blocked. You had a running back, get a first down and fight for it. Then he fumbles. You just didn't have a lot of things kind of going. Hendon Hooker, I know he threw for 325, but he probably could have thrown for 500 yards if he, hits on some of those. Cedric Tillman had a touchdown. He probably has 3 touchdowns if one isn't overthrown and one doesn't hit him right in the chest and he drops.
Yeah, and that's another, kind of going into this team, they didn't play their best, but they found ways to do good things. They found ways to win, specifically the defense. But even Hendon Hooker, could he have played a better game? Sure. But he, especially with his legs, he got a lot of extra yards, created a lot of extra downs. And then, that touchdown to Cedric Tillman, that last one, that's just going, hey, I've got a dog on my right, and I'm going to throw him and let him beat a guy when I'm on coverage. And so he did the right things that got you to that win. I know he could have played a better game, but again, in a situation like that on the road, really what more can you want from your quarterback than to come up in big-time situations?
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned that. Go ahead.
I just want to comment on, you talked about not playing our best, and you mentioned some of those, especially that special teams. And man, Trayvon Flowers, He had a roller coaster of a day. That pick in the end zone was great. He gets hurdled by a guy named Bartholomew that's not in orange. Tough day for him. But, man, that sack he got in the overtime to force a 4th and goal from the 20-something yard line. I can't remember the down and distance exactly. Him and Byron Young, I mean, just a massive play. And hey, credit to Tim Banks for dialing up some great blitzes and the guys for having the confidence and going there. And a little late at times, but you were still getting, I think we had 10 QB rushes. Is that right? I mean, you were in everyone's face.
25 QB pressures.
What's the difference between a rush and a pressure? I don't know.
And then we had, I think, 16
hurries,
quarterback hurries.
16. Yeah, that's 16. Where the 6 is not a 0. It's a 6.
I don't know the difference between pressures and hurries, but
but dude, just creating chaos, wreaking havoc, trying to get turnovers, and you got some. Tim Banks, buddy. Like I said, I'm hesitant towards you. One more week, I'm with you, baby. One more week.
Oh man, I was. The tweets were firing off in my head during those first couple drives. I was like, man, this defense is horrible.
What was your thought when we went down 10-0? Because my thought initially was, we're up 10-0 and lost last year. Why not try it the other way around?
Yeah, I that was in the back of my mind. I also was like, man, we got to go score right here.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if we can stop. Like, you go down 17-0. That's rough.
Trouble.
But 10-0, I don't think that's a lot for this offense. But the way our offense was looking, I was just like, ugh.
Yeah, it was a tough day, but we knew that was going to be a tough matchup too. We talked about we think Tennessee should score points on them, but really we thought that'd be. And listen, I mean, yeah, it's not a ton of points, but if you tell me we score 34 points in most games, I'm hoping we win that. I'm hoping your defense, especially to Pitt's offense. Obviously, It depends on the offense, but that offense specifically. So, and hey, we gave some kickers some grief right before we got in here, but man, Chase McGrath, I won't lie, you set up that 51-yard field goal, and I'm thinking, hey, this is 41, cash it, money in the bank. 51, that's a little leg, man. You got to get a little oomph. Yeah. No doubter. 6 yards. He could have gone from 55, 56 yards. I mean, just a dong punch from Chase McGrath that kept you in the ballgame. We lose that ballgame if he misses that kick.
Yeah, huge game from him. Two really big kicks. You mentioned that 51-yarder. Also that one at the end to put us up.
That was the 51-yarder. I don't know how long the one was before the half.
Okay.
I have to look.
Gotcha. Yeah, man, that was that dong punch. You're right. You're thinking like, oh man,
this isn't his range. Like, I mean, every kicker has a range.
Does he have enough
sweet spot? Yeah,
leg for this one? But he did, and I think it was a good turnaround because of the kind of issues that your kicking unit had throughout the game. So for him to just kind of make the most of that was huge for Tennessee. And you know, you were talking about Trayvon Flowers. He did have a roller coaster of a game. He gets hurdled. He gets interception. He gets a huge sack. That kind of put them far back in overtime. And then I think it was McCullough who – the safeties in general just didn't have a great day besides Flowers.
And even him, roller coaster, man.
Yeah, and then he muffs the punt there at the end. I just don't – like – again, Tennessee didn't play their best game. I don't think we did a great job of running the football. Mm-hmm. I don't think the offensive line did a great job. I think Hendon Hooker kind of faced some pressure. I think that's maybe a reason why he wasn't as accurate. Didn't seem like he scanned the field a ton. Maybe that was by design, but Tennessee just didn't do a good job on first and second down to really give them a chance on third down to have some options other than throwing the football.
And we talked about that. I mean, those first and second downs are so crucial in this style of play you have. Tennessee just set themselves up for down and distance, third and long that you don't want to be in. And so that's tough. And I think, Hendon Hooker got pressure, but he started off inaccurate. And, I mean, any quarterback, when you start off throwing the ball high, it's tough. You either got to decide to try to kind of just let everything come back to you, or you try to correct it, and sometimes that leads to overcorrections. And So that's a tough spot to be in when your first couple throws look high, and that's where he was at. So that doesn't help the confidence. That's gonna, you're probably gonna struggle for at least a little bit and more past that throw. But no, I mean, all these things where Tennessee doesn't play well. It's just, I like Chris just dropped it in here a minute ago. It never seemed like Tennessee really panicked. Like there was never a moment that I just thought, I mentioned to you my live bet on the Saints Falcons game. A pro team looked like they panicked when they were still up 8 with a late touchdown. I never felt like Tennessee panicked.
Yeah. I mean, when you have the kind of offense that they do, it's hard to panic. I mean, you got a guy that, can on the outside that can, take over a game at any time. You got a quarterback that's a veteran and, doesn't really put the football in harm's way. So, yeah, you got to be confident when you have that kind of offense. But, man, the offense, it was good. I thought they had a good game plan at times. They just kind of struggled a little bit, and that was kind of due to Pitt's pass rush on third down and them not being able to really run the football. But, man, our defense stepped up.
Yeah.
Those first 2 drives, I was like, eek. But they got a huge turnover. They pressured Slovis until he couldn't take any more hits. And I hope Pitt isn't out here saying, well, if Slovis doesn't get hurt, he's fine. It's not like he had one play where he got hit. He got hit constantly.
Yeah,
Aaron Beasley had
pressure.
3 big hits in the first quarter on Slovis,
right.
and he was all over the field again. I know Juwan Mitchell might be back at some point, but I think it's going to be hard to really replace Beasley because I think he's one of your best players on defense right now.
Yeah, he made a lot of big plays. And you mentioned, I mean, Slovis, I thought I was at a wedding. It was a fun wedding, but it sucks to be there during the game, watching on your phone. I can't have any sound. Screen's not very big. Slovis was slow getting up. I mean, from the second quarter on, was slow getting up from every play. So I see the training staff tending to him. 10 minutes later, I see a guy limping around on the field. I just assumed Slovis stayed in the game. But no, like you said, I mean, Tennessee just wore out their backup quarterback that much too. That, dude, credit to him too. Credit to him for being tough as hell because he was hurt. I don't know what the deal is with him. He got folded up on a couple times. He's limping around on an ankle and battled it out. And I mean, when you go to the locker room at the end of the day, like, isn't that all you can ask for out of your teammates? So I'm sure he earned a lot of respect on Saturday night.
Yeah, absolutely. And we did give up 141 yards on the ground, but half of that was on one play. Your safety takes a horrific angle. I don't know what that was. And there was just no one else. He was untouched.
Right. Yeah. It wasn't good.
That's got to be better. The middle of the field in general, and that was part of it. The middle of the field's got to be better. There was too many open receivers. Even, that last play, that guy was open. Does he score? I don't know, even if he does catch it, but
I didn't like how we were set up.
He was too open for my liking.
Yeah. Well, I just think when you put our toes were on the goal line, third or fourth and 20 or whatever it was. And I just think you have more space to kind of work up front. They can only go 10 yards, but you're not going to get beat over top. If you get beat over top, you're no business being in the business.
Right.
So, yeah, I didn't love that. But the fact of the matter is he probably doesn't score if he catches it. Good pressure on the quarterback. I don't know who that was that kind of rolled down underneath him to get to his get to his assignment. But, yeah, I don't hate it. But at the end of the day, you probably had him covered.
Yeah. I thought Kamal Hadden, he was that other starting corner. I thought he played pretty well. Warren Burrell is still getting targeted. That's just something that I'm just like, is that going to continue? It's just, I think when you get into, when you face a Bryce Young or a Stetson Bennett, with all those tight ends, I think it's going to be difficult for the middle of the field in general. And also, like, there's going to be mismatches, and they're going to go at a guy like a Warren Burrell or a Jalen McCullough, or, if they see somebody that they think is a weakness, they're going to exploit that.
For sure. And I'll say the one positive, I would be a little bit, and you're going to obviously be nervous against guys like Young and Bennett. And I mean, even a talented guy like Rattler who has the ability to make plays, trying to wrap my head around. Anthony Richardson's another good example here in 2 weeks. I mean, they have the ability to make plays at any moment. But the good news is I feel so much better about the pressure we can bring. That time window closes now. And so, yeah, you got to be better you got to be better in the secondary. And like you said, those linebackers got to be better in coverage. But that window is getting tighter and tighter. And so that should help. And I mean, even Tennessee did a great job bringing in a variety of blitzes, whether it was with corner safety or just a linebacker blitz. I thought Tennessee did a good job of getting pressure with just 4 as well.
Yeah, man, that's huge. I just think if you're bringing pressure like that, you can't give them an easy out on a slant.
Yeah, exactly.
We're giving too much cushion is the issue.
Right.
I don't really think it's so much of talent as it is just, hey, if we're bringing, a linebacker, like a weak side linebacker blitz, that, safety or corner that's, going to be in that zone or responsible for that zone can't be playing 10 yards off. They're just going to dump it off.
Right.
So
I think if I'm Tim Banks, after seeing our ability this week, I feel way more comfortable about putting a guy like Warren Burrell, in someone's face now, knowing the pressure. Because if he gets a guy with a good release, you're beat off the ball, unfortunately, and without any pressure.
And they've done a great job, besides, those 2 plays where, the tight end, jumping over Trayvon Flowers and going, I think, 57 yards to the house. And then obviously that run where we just took a terrible angle. Other than that, they've really done a good job of not giving up big plays. They're not getting beat deep, anything like that. It's just kind of missed tackles, or just being late. I mean, the Trayvon Flowers thing, it's like he kind of dove up to where that guy's waist was.
Oh, that dude made a great play.
Yeah,
that is an unfortunate situation to be in.
Yeah. Not a lot of tight ends are making that look as easy as he did. So maybe there's just something about playing Tennessee. It just brings out the best in everybody. I don't get it, but
Pitt would say no. But yeah, I mean, definitely Pitt didn't play terrible. I mean, Pitt could have made some better plays too, but
they need a better kicker. That's for sure.
Yeah. Oh God, did we check him for a concussion? Did he know that the field goal was where it was at?
Oh my God,
that one late in the game was bad.
Yeah.
But that's the thing about games like this is it's hard to play your best game because it's a freaking slugfest.
And saying that we can't mess up right now, I'm sure that's what every opposing DB is saying, opposite of Cedric Tillman, because he is roasting DBs, and he's underrated fast, but he's not just like a burner.
Well, he's not Brew McCoy, who's got opposite of him.
Yeah, I mean he's a certified dude. When you want it in his hands, he's going to go up and make a play like he did in overtime. And I think he's the best wide receiver in the SEC. I can't really speak for the whole country because I don't know, but he's up there.
That's an interesting take. Let me marinate.
Me a better
let that marinate with me.
Name me a better one.
Let me marinate. Let that marinate with me. I'll get back to you.
Okay.
Listen right now. I'm all orange. I'm with you. I just from a logical standpoint, I want to take a step back.
Yeah, I mean, just name me a better one. I'll gladly tell you you're wrong.
Dude, Cedric Tillman is a dog. He's good.
He's a dog, and Tennessee just has so many. I mean, they just got a good set of wide receivers, and I heard it on. I think it was SEC Network after our game where they said Tennessee has the best wide receiver group in the SEC.
It looks like that right now, especially after the game.
It's hard to disagree.
It is, and you get Brew McCoy more involved this game. He just looks tough, and that's as tough as Cedric Tillman is. If you expect him to carry a load like that for 12 games, that's going to wear on you. So getting another guy to come in Bayless's place and be tough, huge. Jalen Hyatt comes up big again. I just think he looks so comfortable and so confident right now. I just think he keeps getting better.
Yeah, just little dunk passes, just getting some yards in there. I love the kind of game plan to just get him the football and let him work with it. Let him get you a few yards. Let him use that speed to pick up first downs. So Cedric Tillman had 18 targets. I don't know if you knew that. He had 18 targets, 9 catches. Brew McCoy had 4 targets, 4 catches. So I need to see him targeted more. He makes that play,
Right.
for the touchdown. He makes that play on that wasn't even the biggest play of he had all day. The biggest play was on third down where he catches a ball short of the sticks and breaks the tackle. Breaks the tackle and then heads up the sideline to get a first down, an extra couple yards. I think that was the biggest play that he had. Touchdown was huge, and they tried to take it away, but
I was gonna say I only kind of disagree because the touchdown. I think the refs had a heads up play there. I think they knew what was going on. You got to throw the hat to be aware. That he went out of bounds, but I think they made the right call. He didn't try to run out of bounds. He established himself. It was
the thing is, so the guy throws the hat, yes, and then he made the touchdown call.
Yeah.
I
think he was aware of the situation. You throw the hat saying, we got to come back to this. I think he talks to line judge, and they decided he confirmed, yes, he was forced out, and then
forced out and then established.
Yeah. So I think that's why I think it was a great call all the way around. I think they were on the same page, knew what to do there, unlike the officials in the Alabama-Texas game that bailed Alabama out of a safety.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which actually, I'll say this: I think they ended up getting that call right, but I think they messed it up initially. And I don't think you could legally go back and change it.
Wait, say that again?
So I think at the end of the day, I think they got the call right. But I think they messed up I think they did rule roughing the passer on the field. He said he misspoke. But I could see roughing the passer way before targeting.
Gotcha.
So and you can't change roughing the passer in a review.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I think they bailed themselves out. Changed some rules around.
What are some things that you'd like to maybe see cleaned up a little bit?
Offensive line all the way around. Not that they played a bad game. I think, like I said, big moments that came up big. Moments that stand out to me. What were our penalties? 70 yards.
For 770,
several holding, and the one that stands out to me the most is the Hendon Hooker touchdown in overtime that gets called back. You don't have to hold there, brother. He's past you. Just chip the guy, let him know you're there, slow him down a bit. They just didn't do a great job of really helping out.
That could have easily been the game right there.
Exactly. They don't do a great job of helping out Jabari Small or Jalen Wright. Made it a tough day on them. And again, that's not saying that they just played bad. I just think there's a lot of things to clean up. I think for the most part, they did a pretty good job of giving Hendon a pretty good pocket for most of the time. It's just those few plays here and there, and it really seemed like trying to think of the right way to say this, any kind of just an off stunt, whether it be a stunt blitz or something like that, anything like that seemed to really give us trouble.
Yeah.
Well, if that gives you trouble, that's not good in the long term of the season. And I think that too. I mean, I know that we return a lot of guys, but it's not like we're sitting here saying they're one of the best lines in the SEC or anything. So I think there's still a learning curve for them.
Yeah, I think I said the offensive line looked rough, and it was kind of the same point you had. Is I don't think they had just a horrific game. Right. I think the penalties is what makes it look rough, in my opinion. Going backwards is never great. You obviously don't want to see Jabari Small have 10 rushes for 17 yards, and I thought Jalen Wright looked good with the ball in his hands. He does have that fumble and doesn't go back in the game. So I think Pitt had a point of emphasis going into this week. Hey, we're going to make Tennessee throw it, and we're going to make Hendon Hooker uncomfortable. Because
they did a good job of it too. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Because they gave up 190 yards to West Virginia. They weren't giving up 190 yards to Tennessee this week.
Yeah, I thought I thought Pitt's front seven looked as advertised.
Yeah, I agree. But when you do play press man, you're going to give up some yards, and
Was it a holding call? Sorry, go ahead. I'm thinking out loud.
No, we were just right when we said, like, hey, when you do that, like, Tennessee has the ability to kind of pick you apart, and that's exactly what these wide receivers did. So guys who impress you, we kind of mentioned Aaron Beasley. He's a dog. I mean, he just looks so just instinctive, and like he's flying around. He's sideline to sideline. He's getting hits on quarterbacks. He's not missing tackles. He just looks good. Maybe he just needed some confidence. Maybe just needed another offseason under his belt of being that guy. And maybe having Juwan Mitchell kind of pushing him for that starting job helped him out too. But he looks good right now.
I agree. Love what we saw from Aaron Beasley. Favorite part is he's giving Jeremy Banks someone to help be sideline to sideline. I love that. Get all over the field. I'll stay defensively with mine, and it's Byron Young, man. Everything we needed from him this game. Sack, 2 tackles for a loss, 4 tackles, and just pressure all around. I mean, it seemed like every time the pocket was collapsing, Byron Young was involved. And just a big game from him. He had some good sellies, too. He's a monster.
After that, I think when they went up 17-7, I think it was a quarter and about a minute and a half had been passed. Since that point, you saw a lot more of Byron Young, and that's when the defense took a turn. So I think the defense goes as Byron Young goes.
For sure. And I mean, that's just getting the pressure on the quarterback. He just does such a good job of getting upfield. He's strong. He's agile, tough to get hands on. Good dude. And this is what we saw. We've seen good Byron Young games, but we talked about how important the defense was in this game, and Byron Young showed up big in it.
Yeah. And staying kind of with that same defensive line, I thought Amari Thomas did well. 2 fumble recoveries, had 4 tackles. He just seemed like he was all over the place as well, getting pressure. When you're getting pressure on the edge, it doesn't matter if they're able to just step up in the pocket every time. But Amari Thomas was kind of up in his grill, pushing people back into the quarterback where he wasn't able to escape and get away. So I was super impressed with Big O in the middle there.
And he was close to getting a few sacks. He was, which a lot of guys were, man. That's the thing.
He's running down people on the sidelines and stuff like that. I mean, he's just kind of all over the place too. Everybody's like, I was there and they're like, who the heck is 21? And who did he eat? Or what did he eat?
281.
Yeah.
No, that's my favorite part too about Ball State. If you watched it, the stat line of 0 sacks didn't tell the full story of what the defensive line did. I don't think the 4 sacks in this game tells the full storyline of what that defensive front did to the Pitt offensive line. Tons of pressure all day. Aaron Beasley getting that huge hit on the interception on Slovis. I mean, just pressure in their face every play. Nothing came easy. It was – I hope we get more. If we get that against Florida, I feel really good about Anthony Richardson looking like Kentucky Anthony Richardson, not Utah Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, and Tyler Barron's another guy who really benefited from Byron Young, and as well as Byron Young benefited from Tyler Barron doing well. But he had that strip sack at the end of the half to set Tennessee up in field goal range. That was huge, and he was just kind of another guy that was all over the place. I think they saw West Virginia getting home against this Pittsburgh offensive line last week, and it seemed like this defensive line and that front 7 was just licking their chops going into this game.
Yeah, and even some of the secondary, they got involved in the blitz, and they took advantage. It was fun.
Wesley Walker had a sack.
Hey, that's all you ask for when you're a nickel corner, even a safety, man. You're looking over at that defense coordinator Hope, and he's calling in a DB blitz. You're like, it's time.
Or doing that Gary Bertier where they just go across and just point at him.
Yeah, exactly. We blitz all night.
And going the opposite side of the ball, Cedric Tillman. Again, best wide receiver in the SEC until you prove me otherwise. He's leading the conference in yards.
Yeah.
It's hard to argue when you're leading the conference.
No, don't get freaking that guy started. You're going to start another conspiracy theory that all he wants is Cedric Tillman to be the leading receiver. It's getting weird at this point. Should we point out that Jalen Hyatt had more receptions than him yesterday? I don't know. I can't decide.
Or should we also point out that under Jeremy Pruitt, he had 5 receptions?
Or maybe Jeremy Pruitt didn't want Cedric Tillman to be good. Didn't want him to have it. Oh, that's a good question, Landon.
Yeah.
That's a great question, brother.
Good Lord.
Offensive side of the ball, it's so hard not to stick with receivers. And I want to go with my boy, but I'm going to go with Landon's boy. If you watch Thursday, it's Brew McCoy. Fast, physical, tough, wide receiver. You might be back because of the way Brew McCoy has. You mentioned being the best receiving core in the SEC. Well, they wouldn't be without Brew McCoy.
Yeah,
and he looks just like a straight dog. That touchdown where he gets through a defender, moving him to the sideline, it's huge. Talk about that first down, 4 receptions, 4 catches. Balls come his way, he's catching them. Don't talk about the one at Ball State. We'll ignore that. But Brew McCoy played great against Pitt, and this is, I think, like Jalen Hyatt, a little confidence builder. Let's see that ball go his way more against Akron and then more against Florida. Maybe Cedric Tillman opens up some more too.
Yeah, and that route kind of on that touchdown, it was so clean that he, is fighting off a defender, but as soon as he gets past him, he gets back on that line.
Yeah.
And that puts him back in bounds and reestablishes himself. And that's part of why that's so important. But yeah, that looks so smooth and was huge for him. But yeah, he's my dog going forward. Love me
good
some
dog.
Also with those wide receivers, only played, I think 4 of them played. Only 3 got receptions.
I'd like to
I
see.
think Ramel Keaton played a couple plays, but that was it.
And I would like to see more than 3 wide receivers. But did you need more than 3 against Pitt? Because why you don't rotate them just to rotate them. That's not the case.
Yeah.
You're rotating for either packages or to get a guy breather in this fast-paced offense. You're not just going, hey, you've worked hard in practice. We'll give you this. Isn't JV football. And so I would like to see more receivers out there. I think it makes the offense more dynamic when you have moving parts coming in and out, but it's hard to argue with a guy who had 9 receptions for 162, a guy 11 for 73, and another guy 4 for 58, 325 total. It's
yeah,
I just don't know how you just straight up say we should have seen more.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you. It was just weird to me. You saw so many last week, and then this week you're back down to 3. And
right.
I think last season you wanted to see more. You just couldn't trust anybody else. And I just hope we're not getting down that road where if you do deal with some injuries, you don't have guys ready because you didn't play them, throughout the year.
Right. And I think too, I do think it's weird. I'm with you because even Josh Heupel has kind of made that a point of emphasis throughout the offseason about we want to see more than 3 receivers. So yes, I agree. That is weird that it didn't seem like no one really got a chance to even get sat on the bench. So yeah I agree.
And no one Jimmy Holiday scored a touchdown last week. Walker Merrill scored a touchdown last week. So yeah, it was just kind of head scratching a little bit. Maybe they go back and be like, yeah, we probably should have played some more guys. But yeah, going back to what you said, how can you really complain with the production you got out of them?
Yeah, for sure. And then we've even had Richards ask about what's happened to Squirrel White and Jimmy Holiday. I mean, it'd be a guessing game to say why they're not playing. So I'm not going to do that. But I'm thinking you're going to see him at Akron more, especially the freshmen. Talking about guys like Squirrel White or a guy Walker Merrill, Walker and Jimmy both. They've seen the field very, very sparingly in their time here. So maybe some of it's a comfort thing. And you talked about that trust. And so that it took Jalen Hyatt essentially a full year of significant playing time and he talked about it, the buy-in. So there could still be kind of some things to learn about each other, for lack of a better way to say it. So I mean, yeah, I don't know. And then Scotty also asked about Brandon Turnage, where he's at. A lot of questions about defensive backs. So.
yeah, and until it gets fixed, I'm thinking there's a lot of young guys there, and I think you kind of see that they just aren't satisfied with what they have in the back end, and that's why they're recruiting so many defensive backs.
Right.
But Kamal Haddon's the best defensive back on this team, in my opinion.
And I thought he played better this week than he did against Ball State.
Yeah, and I don't think it's really close. I know Trayvon Flowers had that pick, but he also, like you mentioned, had a roller coaster of a game. Jalen McCullough, I just didn't really see him much, and maybe I just need to go back and really watch the game. But I just remember seeing him take that terrible angle on that running back, and then just didn't really see a lot of plays after that. Wesley Walker got in on a sack. Tamari McDonald, had a few pressures, and I think a pass breakup. Yeah, just not enough plays from them, in my opinion.
No, and I think that's the kind of like
with your front seven playing as well as they did, you would think you would see more plays being made.
Yeah, and maybe that's going to be maybe that's something that could come later in the year with just that comfort and trust, knowing, does a guy on the outside know he can be a little bit tighter in coverage because that quarterback's got to get the ball out quick now. Like, can things like that change? Yeah, I think they could. Tamari McDonald's a weird one because I felt like he played good, but when he was in situations to make big time plays, he just couldn't for whatever reason. But I mean, I don't think that's not to say I think he played just terrible or anything.
And we dropped some picks.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think this could have easily been I think Tennessee could have won this by 3 touchdowns.
I mean,
just missed opportunities.
Yeah,
I'm not complaining.
Right. Well, yeah.
But I feel like the cards were there where you could have really taken advantage and put this team away. You only scored 3 points in the second half until overtime. And I just think that's not very characteristic of this team.
For sure. And the reason I'm careful about, I think Tennessee could have played a lot better and could have won, just because I don't know Pitt very well. I don't know how much better Pitt could have played. Obviously, anytime you lose a starting quarterback, it does hurt. I'm careful about kind of that side of it because Pitt was up 10-0 at one point and just relinquished all momentum.